Do you have any questions about any of these? Yeah.
I don't know that I remember right, but on the Mahayana, it said on the life faculty, is it any related to the alaya consciousness?
Alaya Vijnana, no. Alaya Vijnana is mental. It is something like karma.
Because it said when the alaya leave your body, and you can consider it as a dead person, because you don't have alaya come back and that you're gone, and your body become decayed.
I see. Then it could be that. Now, in Theravada Buddhism, death is described as when this life faculty, consciousness, and the bodily heat. When these three leave the body, then you are said to die. So death means these three leaving the body. So one of them is this life faculty, and then the other is body temperature, body heat, and the next one is consciousness. So if alaya, you say alaya Vijnana?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Oh. I'm not sure, because I think alaya Vijnana is mental, not physical.
It's that like sometimes the body, it look like dead because like you under consciousness, you don't know anything, but still the alaya is still there. And you can make that people awake again, and you're not die yet. But when the alaya is leave the body permanently, and you never can wake them up again.
That's when you die.
Yeah, that's when.
I see. Although, say, I don't know whether they are identical, but from your description, they are very similar. The life faculty and the alaya Vijnana you mentioned.
I'm not remember very sure.
Yes, that's right. So you read the book again, and then we can discuss in our next meeting.
Can I follow up on that question?
Yes.
You say we have a consciousness, life faculty, and body heat. If we miss one of them, what happens? Only one of them or two of them, but now on three, because three we know that we are dead. But how about not three, only two or one?
I think when one leaves, all three leave.
That is my purpose of my question. Therefore, the consciousness, one of them, that is similar, not the same, but based on what he said, is similar with the consciousness here and alaya there. It's not similar with life faculty.
I see.
Because if you want one leave, you consider that, then that's similar with the consciousness. So it's not rupa. It's not life faculty. That's what I want to know.
Okay, yeah. So alaya Vijnana is mental, like consciousness.
There's another practice that when a person dies, critically dead, your heart is stopped, your body is cold, meaning that you lose the consciousness and the temperature. There's a practice that we continue to pray for that person for, I believe, 3 more days, because that is still there. That's the belief. So we continue to pray that. I think it fits to what you said, but they're not the same.
But one thing to remember is one is a mental factor, one is rupa.
Yes,
so
there are two. This is
the other
rupa.
one is mental
The other one is mental. Yeah.
So that's
I have a question for element for the gender elements, 14 and 15. Does it mean that we all have these 2 elements, whether we are male or female, but one is much stronger than the other?
According to Abhidhamma, no. We have only one, either femininity or masculinity. according to medical science, when a child first takes conception, it could be either a male or a female. So only after some time it is differentiated and become a male or a female. According to Abhidhamma, at the moment of conception, there arises the relinking consciousness, and along with the relinking consciousness there arise 30 material properties, and one of them is either masculinity or femininity. So according to Abhidhamma, the child to be a girl or a boy is determined at conception. And in the Yamaka of the sixth book of Abhidhamma, it is said that a being cannot have both masculinity and femininity at the same time or at the same moment. And now there are some people or some reports of people, say, whose sex change in their lives. Say, first he is a man and then after some time he becomes a woman or something like that. Although it is very, very rare nowadays, say, natural change, in our books there are some instances of those. And so when one changes from one sex to another, then one disappears and the other becomes prominent, evident. So in the sixth book of Abhidhamma, it is said that these two faculties or two material properties cannot arise at the same moment. Now there are some beings or some, say, human beings mentioned in the books who are hermaphrodite, but that means at one time, say, he is a man, and then later on, say, after a fortnight, then he will be a woman, and then the next fortnight he will become a man again, and sometimes alternately. So when he is a man, and there is no femininity in him, and then when femininity arises, then masculinity disappears. So at the same moment, and these two cannot exist together. That is what is taught in Abhidhamma.
Okay, but let me try to elaborate his question, see whether or not it's correct. His point is this: even we are masculine, not we are, but some of us here. Someone is a man. Even he is a man, sometimes he has some feminine factor. Not all, not that dominant, but some factor, feminine factor. I think that's why one of the Chinese philosophy, they had a yin and a yang, and in the yin they had, you see the flag, like Korea flag, the yin and the yang. Yeah. In the yin there is a dot. Yeah. That's when it contains the potential of the yang. The yin has a yang. So, like simultaneously you have both, but one is so dominant, prominent. That's why you are a man or you are a woman. But at the same time, you still have some part as feminine. Is that your question?
Because I refer to, when you said earlier that you can look at the finger or the hand, or even listening to the voice, the sound of the person, or even watch the way the person walks. Although it's true in most of the cases, but there are some cases that are not true at all. So I wonder if there's that little bit somewhere there that when the mixture is not so predominantly in one side, then we can see that.
That should be explored further. Yeah. I think when the book said that these two properties cannot exist at the same time, then when something is said to exist, we mean it comes to the surface and it reaches its identity, or it reaches the three stages of existence: arising, continuation, and disappearance. But maybe in dormant or latent form, there may be some trace of masculinity or femininity in every being or every body. I'm not so sure, but it could be, because these characteristics can be, I think, developed, say, by mind training or some mental process, and also by giving, say, female hormones to men, and then his characteristics change, like mustaches disappear or something like that. So there may be some is seed or something like that, a trace maybe there, but not in the real evident or dominant form.
On the right side where you have all the pluses,
yes,
it means that these are inseparable, and they include the primary elements, or all of them consist of the primary elements. So if it's inseparable and the primary elements is within all matters, existing matters, or everything that exists has these four elements,
yes,
right?
Yes, yeah.
And since all the other dependents are inseparable from these primary elements, they are also shouldn't they also be considered primary, because they cannot be separated from each other?
Now, although the other four, let us say, the four primary elements and the other four, right? Although the four are inseparable, they can exist only in dependence upon the other four. So that is why only the other four are called primary, and not the four beginning with form. Like the Citta and Caitasika. Now, Caitas and Caitasikas arise together. Actually, they are also inseparable. We cannot take Citta on one side and Caitasika on other side. Only in our minds we can separate. Now, although they arise together, Caitasikas are said to depend on Citta for their arising. That means only when there is Citta can Caitasikas arise. So Caitasikas are not called Citta or, say, primary. They arise at the same time. They are inseparable, but their arising depends upon the Citta, and here their arising depends upon the four elements. If there are no four elements, there can be no form, no order, and so on. So that is why, although they are inseparable, they are not called primary elements. They have to depend on the four for their arising, for their existence.
But you cannot have any of these inseparables without the primary element, or can the primary elements exist without these four dependents?
No. They always arise together.
Oh.
Yeah. Like Citta and Caitasika. So Citta cannot arise by itself. Whenever there is Citta, there are Caitasikas too.
Question. You say, I don't remember you keep up on your Venerable keep on your give a Dhamma talk, but in that talk say that, I think you said that the knowledgeable monk, and Buddha say he's an empty monk, therefore he feel embarrassed when Buddha say he tried to learn to practice meditation.
Yeah.
and he went to learn, and nobody wanted to teach him.
Oh, yes.
So finally he reached the 7-year-old Arahant.
Yeah.
And after some persuasion, and the 7-year-old Arahant agreed to teach him. And the lecture was just the ant hill.
Ant hill.
There
yeah.
is six
holes.
You have to close 5. Then you can catch the
lizard.
The rat, right, in the hole.
Yeah.
And closing the other 5 holes is where you just stop your consciousness. You see something, just seeing. So by practice, in other words, just practice meditation, vipassana, just noting, seeing, but don't let your mind thinking when you fall into
akusala.
Right, akusala.
Yeah.
So closing, that's mean noting at the point you just see. And seeing is that the seeing consciousness, right?
Yes.
Where are the Cetasika? If you stop there.
Oh, Cetasikas arise along with seeing consciousness. And then when seeing consciousness it disappears, they also disappear. So we talk about Ceta only there, right?
Yeah.
But Cetasikas are also implied. Because let us say Cetasikas are like shadow. So when there is a man, there is shadow. So when we talk about the man, then we imply the shadow also. So when we say the man disappears, we imply that the shadow also disappears. So, so say when you say seeing, then there is seeing consciousness, right? Right? Yeah. And along with seeing consciousness, there are mental states and mental factors.
Yeah.
And then seeing consciousness disappears, and these mental factors also disappear with it. To think about it and to get all memorized, and next time I'll ask you where we end here. I may forget where we ended, so you have to remind me.
I have a question. You mentioned that the 18 properties are real properties, meaning that if we meditate, we can see these properties?
Yeah. They are said to be objects of vipassana meditation. I mean, one kind of vipassana knowledge where you observe the formations as impermanent, as suffering, and as soulless. So during the stage of that knowledge, you may try to see the 18 or one of these 18, and so they are susceptible to vipassana meditation, but not the others, not the other 10, because the other 10 are actually not real rupas. They are just an aspect or a condition of the rupas mentioned above.
I have a question. Number 18 about nutrition. You say even the small sand, there is nutrition in that.
Yeah.
We see it.
Now, among all 24 material properties, only one can be seen. The others cannot be seen by the eyes. They can be understood by our mind, but we cannot see the other material properties. We cannot see the earth element. We cannot see the water element. So nutrition also cannot.
Can I add something? The sand has nutrition. That's why your plants can grow. That's it. There is nutrition. How can the plants grow? See.
Property number 16, the heart base. You mentioned that it's the blood that is the base of the consciousness.
Yeah.
is it the blood itself, or is it some property that? I'm thinking of blood transfusion. People who have the blood changed. Does it mean that because of that the conscience will change?
That's a problem. You know, when there were no instances of blood transfusion or heart transplant during those days. But now these have come into being, and so it is problematic. Now when we see blood, then there is sometimes a child's blood is totally changed, right? A child has some disease, even before birth. So the child's blood is totally changed, and so there is some problem. I don't really know what is meant by the heart base, because it is said that this heart base exists on or depending on a handful of blood in the heart. So not the blood itself, but something that adheres in the blood or that lives on the blood, some kind of material property, and that is said to be the heart base or the seat of other types of consciousness. And so it is not so easy to give the satisfactory answer, because what happens when you have a heart transplant? So where does this heart base go when the heart is transplanted from one person to another? Because it is said that the heart base is caused by, now you see this column K. Heart base is caused by karma. So that which is caused by karma cannot be transferred to another person, because it is the result of karma and the result of my karma, right? So it is my own say possession, and so I cannot give it to other person. So heart base is caused by karma, and so it must be something which lives on the blood, and then when the blood is changed, it may go to some other place in the body, or I don't know. Because it is said that those caused by karma do not leave our body, cannot be found outside our body. Our material properties that are caused by karma are always in our bodies. They will never leave our body. So we can only say that the heart, what we call heart base, is actually a very small particle of matter, and so it may go to some other place in the body when the heart is changed, and then when the new heart is attached, then it may come back there, something like that.
That's why Buddha didn't say anything, right?
Buddha didn't say it is heart or whatever, brain or. He, as I said before, he just said, depending on a certain material property, a certain consciousness arises. So that was interpreted to mean heart by the commentators. And I think the commentators had that interpretation because, as I said, in other places Buddha used the word heart, say, to mean consciousness. So there must be some connection between heart and consciousness. And so when the seat of other types of consciousness are to be found, they just found the heart as a base.
I heard from Virapanyo, Tui, the disciple of Tipapanyo.
Yes.
He said there is a Burmese monk. When he was there, he asked the monk whether the consciousness came from. Then the monk said, not here, but somewhere in here.
Yeah.
That's what the monk said.
Yes.
That he said. He doesn't say exactly where, but he said from this part, the consciousness came. So that he told the story.
The heart base that you described, did I understand it right that it's just emotion? That's where it arrived. That's where we get our emotion, where we base our decision on. Well, what we would say in everyday terms as your heart or your brain.
Yeah, heart, because no, seeing consciousness. No, seeing consciousness depends on the eye, right?
Yes.
And with seeing consciousness, there are mental factors.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no mental factors which we call emotions, say attachment or anger or whatever at that moment, at the moment of just seeing. Only when we come to the stage of jhana, a perception, do we have, say wholesome or unwholesome consciousness. So at that moment, the emotions come. Now, that the jhana consciousness depends on the heart and not on the eye, on the eye or ear or so on. Therefore, we can say that the heart is the seat of emotions. Now, Abhidhamma is very, very detailed and very exact. In seemingly a single unit of action or whatever, there is a multiplicity of, say, moments. Now, we see something and we like it or we dislike it. We think that it's just only one, right? We see and we like it. We see and dislike it. But if we explain it according to Abhidhamma, then there is a thought process going on. And in that thought process, there is a seeing consciousness, just seeing. And at that moment, you don't like it or you don't dislike it. You just see it. It is neutral. And then after seeing it, there are some moments, say, accepting it, investigating it, and determining it to be, say, desirable or undesirable. And only after that, say, you come to liking it or disliking it. Although the thought process is described in this way, and so you may think that a long time intervenes between seeing moment and a perception moment. Actually, this interval moment doesn't take even a tenth of a second or a hundredth of a second, because, as I have told you many times, billions and billions of thought moments can arise and disappear in 1 second or in a flip of a finger. So when we talk about Abhidhamma, we are talking making a big enlargements, say, big blow-ups, and then talking about the different moments. But these moments go very, very fast, that actually they seem to us to appear or to arise at the same time.
In what you described, where would the heart base come in?
Now, in a thought process, we try to find which type of consciousness depend on which base. Mm-hmm. So, in one thought process, there is like seeing consciousness, and then what about that? Accepting consciousness, receiving consciousness, and then investigating, and then determining, and then, say, jhana moment or a perception. Now, seeing consciousness depends on eye sensitivity. Eye sensitivity. Then the other type of consciousness, what's that? Receiving consciousness, and others depend on heart base, like that. So even in one thought process, there are different moments of consciousness and different types of consciousness, especially the seeing consciousness and other types of consciousness have different bases for their seat. So seeing consciousness has the eye sensitivity for its seat, and then the other types of consciousness have the heart base. The manual of Abhidhamma, I think many of you have a copy of a manual of Abhidhamma. So for the material properties, you should read the sixth chapter of manual of Abhidhamma. And do you have a path of purification?
Yeah, I do. Right.
Please, let me have it. Because you can read it in the path of purification too. So chapter 19 is on aggregates. Oh, I'm sorry. Chapter 14, not 19. That is for all 5 aggregates. Chapter 14. So this thing.
Would you go into more detail about these consciousness?
Oh yes,
the
yes.
base consciousness,
yes.
The heart base.
When we reach the consciousness aggregate.
Okay.
But the one I mentioned with reference to the thought process, then you need a diagram, and then say I'll show you the basis of different types of consciousness.
I didn't see it in this list here, so I thought maybe we won't go through.
You mean types of consciousness?
Yes.
Oh, I will. The fifth is the aggregate of consciousness. You know there are 121 types. You have to memorize all these 121.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a challenge. And then I'll give you a diagram with dots, say to help you memorize. And you all of you need to have one for each, the diagram, the dots. They are very helpful. And when you can memorize and you can see the diagram in your mind, then everything will be clear to you. And then you know what you are talking about or what other person is talking about. Now I tell you, say, let us say, a beautiful consciousness accompanied by knowledge and unprompted or something like that. You don't know what I am talking about. So when you have that chart in your mind, and you see, oh, he's talking about that specific dot, something like that. That is like a map. So I'll really make you familiar with that diagram. It doesn't take long, actually. Maybe in a week. That is, if you go slowly. In a week you can memorize it. We did it, and so you can.
You?
You know, in our country, the memorization is still, say, followed in teaching. I mean, in learning, especially for monks. So, before you know what Abhidhamma is, you have to memorize the book. You don't know a word of it, but you memorize it all the same. Say about 150 pages or something. And then after memorization comes understanding, or your teacher will say, explain this to you. So when you have the book memorized, you always have the book with you. So anywhere you are, you can open that book and read it, right? Because it's in your mind. I mean, we Burmese say putting the book in the stomach. So it is in your stomach, and so you can put it, take it out and look at it anytime you like. So if you do little by little, then you can memorize a lot. But people nowadays, say in modern times, are not taught to memorize, and so they think that memorization is very, very difficult. But if you do it a little at a time, you can memorize a lot.
Can I add something?
Yes.
A little story.
Oh.
You say memorize not that difficult. Reading, I found reading is difficult already, and that's why when you say memorize, even more difficult. There is a Vietnamese monk in Los Angeles, and I saw him about 10 or 12 years ago. And I stayed almost overnight to listen to his Dhamma talk. He's very young, very knowledgeable. One night, I didn't talk to him, but I take the manual to Abhidhamma, translated in Vietnamese.
Oh.
And I heard about Abhidhamma, so I wanted to read into it. So I took the book and tried to read it. After 3 pages, I got so confused. And I closed it. I said, I never touch again. How can I memorize if I cannot read, you know? So,
Yeah.
but the point is, then about a few years ago, I opened again. And this time, I have to force myself to read into it, see how it happened. It came out, it came slowly.
Oh, yes.
Better than the previous time.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So, but I'm not sure about memorizing.
If you know the language, we usually memorize Pali. If you know the language well, then it's easier for you. You know, there are both prose and verse. Verses are easier to memorize, and then we can retain it much longer than the prose section of the suttas. That is why there are mnemonic verses, verses to make you remember the whole sutta at the end of many suttas. So these verses express the same thing as expressed in the prose portion of the sutta. It is like learning a poem. So you learn a poem and it will be with you for many years. But the prose can disappear very quickly. So there are many verses in Visuddhimagga or in the manual of Abhidhamma.
I don't. Maybe you are familiar with this, but maybe you're not. At the time that the Buddha appeared in India, I guess he became very popular, and a lot of Brahmins or the Indian upper class, they get converted over to Buddhism. Right? So therefore, their religion or their class system might be broken down, or they start to convert more into Buddhism. Did the Buddha, in a way, broke their system or did away with their system, and they maybe resent Buddhism, try to win back their way of life?
I think so, because Brahmanism was very strong in India. So Buddha appeared, and Buddha could convince some of the Brahmins, but not all of them. And also Buddha was not a violent. Buddha did not advocate violence, but Buddha sometimes said, "Curse is nothing." See, what makes you good or bad is your karma. Even though you are born in a high caste, if you do not act properly, you are not supposed to be a noble one or a good person, something like that. So according to the Buddha, caste is nothing. Class is nothing. What matters is your actions. If your actions are good, then you are a good person, even though you may be born very low, something like that. So that was very resented by the Brahmins, because they claim to be the highest of the human society. There are four layers in this human society. They call Shudras. Untouchables are even below the Shudras. So there are some, say, low caste people, and above them say, merchants and others, and above them, say, according to Brahmins, above them, the warrior class or kingly class, and then at the topmost is the Brahman. So they are very proud, and they won't allow the people of other castes to even to listen to their chanting, even to listen to the religious, say, Vedic chantings. If especially a Shudra, the lowest caste one, if a lowest caste, a person who belongs to lowest caste, comes to listen to their chanting, then they could pour say hot oil or something into his ear, something like that. So maybe that is just what do you call? What do you call that? Allegory or something. But they can do that. So they are very proud. So when Buddha talked about the caste being nothing in deciding whether a person is good or bad or high or low, they got resented. And so they always try to fight with Buddhism and try to reabsorb or something like that into Hinduism. And that is why Buddhism became, say, weak through first internal dissensions. We have quarrel against, say, among ourselves, so Mahayanas and Theravadas and also. So at that time we were weak. I mean, Buddhists were weak, and then Hindu kings and Hindu other teachers also persecuted Buddhism and Buddhist monks. And then the last blow came from Muslims. So about the 7th century, Muslims conquered India, and so they wiped out Buddhism altogether. So actually, I think Indians do not like Buddhism much. They take Buddhism to be an alien religion, although Buddhism originated in India. The Buddha was an Indian. He was a Sakyan, but let's call him Indian. But the Indians have some kind of, what do you call it, apathy, say, towards Buddhism, because two things they dislike Buddhism about. One is the doctrine of anatta, no soul, because they advocate atta. So on every page of a Hindu scripture you find the word atta. And the other is this caste, Buddhas downgrading the caste system. So they resent these two things about Buddhism. But Buddha did not use any force, say, to downgrade caste system. But in his talks, he always said something, say, bad about caste system. And also, it may not be very fair to say the truth. But in our books, Brahmins are always described as say, greedy, or described as bad or something like that.
Did he did away with supernatural power? Because I heard stories that there's a lot of supernatural power at the time of the Buddha, and I thought I remember the Buddha said not to believe in supernatural power or in something like that.
Buddha possessed some supernatural powers, and he often used supernatural power to convince people. So he used quite often during his lifetime.
Can I have your yeah? Can get your permission to say something in Vietnamese?
Oh, yes.
And we brief you. You know what we're talking about every month. I would like to say thank you on behalf of our little family here. We thank you for you coming here to practice meditation here. You make our house into a Dhamma house. So if any things make you uncomfortable, we ask your forgiveness. And we hope you peace, happiness, and well. And we would like to introduce Mary Zinking. She came from Portland, Oregon. So and we welcome her here, and we hope that she enjoyed the meditation, and after tomorrow she departs back. I hope that the whatever she have here with her on the way, so that made the trip short. And I welcome. This is the second time we welcome the maid, the lady maid, to the practice of meditation, and thank you for the good food you brought. Chị chưa có dịp chính thức để gặp chị Thu và chị Thu nữa, thì chị Thu là bạn của anh Hồng hả? Dạ, của con. Dạ, thì có gặp chị mấy lần nhưng mà chưa có dịp. Mình xin giới thiệu chị với nhóm newcomer two times. Thank you very much.
Okay.
May I have a permission just to talk Vietnamese with the owner of the house?
Okay.
At the same time, the organizer of the group. Kính thưa anh Luyện, chị Luyện, như là tôi thì đáng lẽ là tôi không có nói, nhưng mà bữa nay tôi thấy cái quá đặc biệt là bởi vì chúng tôi tới đây không biết là thứ mấy rồi, thứ 3 rồi. Tôi thấy anh chị cũng lo lắng rất nhiều. Kỳ này thì muốn cho công việc nó trôi chảy, muốn lo ít lại, nhưng mà cũng đâu vào đấy giàu lên, mà muốn cắt bớt thì cũng vẫn lo âu cho tôi. Bởi vì lẽ đó mà chúng tôi cảm ơn anh chị, không những mọi người tổ chức ra các khóa thiền tập để tu học, mà lại còn nghĩa là chịu khó đưa tới đây để mà dùng cái chỗ này để thiền tập trong những lần qua và lần này, về những lần sắp tới nữa. Vì lẽ đó mà thật ra là nói là bận rộn, mấy anh chị thì cái chuyện mình thích làm mình làm được mới được, còn mấy cháu đây thì không có thể gì mà chúng tôi phải phiền hà hết, mà trái lại chúng tôi rất e ngại. Dù rằng anh chị thật tình, nghĩa là muốn làm những cái gì mà cho tốt đẹp hơn, mà không có thế nào trong một cái trò gì trong cái nhà này anh chị làm hơn được hết. Giờ lại chính tôi không có thấy cái gì mà e ngại hết. Mấy anh chị nếu mà cho chúng tôi tới đây thì cái chuyện đó là mấy anh chị đừng lo. Giờ lại những kỳ tới nếu mà mấy anh chị có thể làm cái gì được, cứ việc nói chúng tôi làm hết mình. Còn chia sẻ để và gánh nặng anh để anh tu tập được với chúng tôi nữa, chứ không phải là mấy anh chỉ con đường chúng tôi đi mà mấy anh đi không được. Mà chắc chắn là mấy anh đi được hơn chúng tôi, là bởi vì những bài pháp anh dịch là tất nhiên chúng tôi học qua anh nữa. Bởi vì cũng như là sư nói một lần, anh dịch lại, tất nhiên là cái người để rất phong phú. Tôi thành thật nghĩa là cảm ơn anh những cách dịch và diễn tả. Không, nếu mà không có anh thì chúng tôi, chính cá nhân tôi không hiểu là qua lời sư nói tiếng Anh hết. Nhờ vậy mà chúng tôi một lần nữa cảm ơn anh chị cho chúng tôi tới đây tu và lại hướng dẫn vào một con đường mà tất cả các bạn đây thấy rằng mình đi con đường đó chắc lẽ là con đường mình chọn đúng rồi đó. Và hơn nữa là chính là bằng cớ là để chứng minh lời của nó nói là chị Mỹ đây là tôi khuyến khích chị đi tới đây, mà chị phải can đảm, bữa nay tôi ngại lắm, bởi vì nhà tôi không có đi với chị bữa nay là bởi vì có việc nhà bận rộn lắm, mà chỉ một đi một mình tôi thấy chị rất là can đảm. Và lại nếu mà lần tới mà có tiền tập ở đâu á thì chắc lẽ chị cũng ráng đi để chi? Đi để nói lại những cái gì chúng mình làm ở đây. Chắc lẽ nhiều khi nghe nói nhưng mà không biết làm cái gì, rồi một người nói là hai người nói, rồi mình về mình chia sẻ lại. Chính tôi cũng nói là chị Sanh có mấy cháu đi đây, chắc lẽ chị ở nhà cũng có mấy cháu lớn, mình làm mà sao một cái nhóm nhỏ nó gặp nhau nó nói chuyện, cái mấy ông già lại nó không tin đâu thì sao nó chậm. Rồi mình mai mốt là chuyện nhóm mình sẽ mở rộng hơn nữa cho đứa trẻ. Tôi nói đây chắc lẽ là hơi dài dòng để anh Kham anh thưa lại cho cái cái cô Mỹ thì chỗ biết là mình nói cái gì chứ thôi để cũng ngặt nghèo lắm. Thì anh Kham, nếu anh nói là tóm tắt lại càng ít càng tốt. Cảm ơn.
I was trying to summarize what he's been told. Just on behalf of the group, we would like to thank both of Luen and his wife has been done so many things for our group, prepare things in the leadership to guide every people to come together, and especially with all the difficulty, that's what he's been told. It's not caused any problem to us, but we would like to explain it that. Furthermore, we'd like to get to do somehow to bring more and more people like you and his friends. This is the second, third time to attend this class, and hope in the future it's expressed more for our group. That's the way we do.